Hi, Teachable Tribe. Morgan here, and I'm with Vasavi. Vasavi, do you want to introduce yourself?
I sure do. Hey, Teachable Tribe. My name is Vasavi Kumar of vasavikumar.com, and I work with entrepreneurs to figure out what they're good at and find out different ways to monetize it online.
Yeah. Vasavi is incredible. She does amazing things. Her website's beautiful. Can you let us know a little bit about when you decided that the 9 to 5 might not be for you?
Yeah, I probably decided that when I was about 6 years old. Both of my parents are in their own way entrepreneurs. My mom is a cardiologist, but she has her own practice. So I always saw her having that level of freedom to go when she wants and come when she wants. And my father's a CPA. He too has his own practice. So from a very young age, I was lucky enough to experience and witnessing both of my parents having that level of freedom and just being the boss. And I just knew from a very young age, I was pretty defiant growing up. Like I don't like being told what to do at all. So I also am pretty accountable to myself and a self-starter. So I knew from a young age that I was not meant to work for somebody. Although I've had my share of jobs. I actually worked my first job at CVS when I was 17. And I started my business in 2010. And I've been in my business throughout, except for last year. I did take a sabbatical. I took an emotional sabbatical and I had to take a step back from my business. And so I worked 5 jobs last year. I worked for Uber. I worked for Lyft. I was a vegan cook at a restaurant. I was a substitute teacher. But for the most part, yeah, I've pretty much always worked for myself.
Oh, that's incredible. I think I love those stories when you know what you want from a young age and you go after it.
Yeah, and actually, surprisingly, the majority of my clients are 9-to-5ers, and they want to make some additional income on the side. So that's kind of interesting because I know what the situation that they're in, but not really, but mostly, yes, I do, So,
Oh yeah, no, that's so cool.
yeah.
So you always knew you wanted to work for yourself. How did you go about making that happen?
Yeah, so actually, I was at Columbia University getting my second master's in social work. And that was in 2010 when I had a family friend tell me about the coaching industry. So I was very curious. And I remember she sent me an article. This was, 6 years ago. And I enrolled in a coaches training program for a year where they encouraged us to start our own businesses and start getting clients right away. They didn't really teach us the business aspect though. But I knew that I loved the aspect of talking to people, kind of finding out what their problem is, and then looking to see how I could help solve that. And I think that's really what drew me to starting my own business. Now, as far as understanding the nuts and bolts of the online marketing space, that probably happened a year into my business. So around 2011, I enrolled in my first mastermind with Lisa Nichols, who was in the movie The Secret. She's a great speaker. I learned how to speak and storytell from her. She's amazing. But I learned everything, not everything, because there's always more to learn, right? But I learned a lot about affiliate marketing and creating multiple revenue streams and taking your content and turning that into online courses. So much that I didn't even know existed, I had the exposure to.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And you did that all while you were at Columbia or got started?
No, I had already graduated from Columbia in 2010. I was just in the first year of my business though.
Okay, very
to learn everything. And then the one thing that I think that, most entrepreneurs kind of struggle with is this idea of self-promotion and putting yourself out there. And that just came very naturally to me because in my mind, it was a no-brainer. If I want people to know that I have a service that can help them, it's my responsibility. It's my obligation to put myself out there. And that's something that I really work with in my business now with my clients.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So when you were getting started, did you have any big mountain you had to overcome, or what was your biggest struggle in the beginning and how'd you get past it?
Yeah, the biggest struggle that I had to overcome was, it's actually 2. It's getting creatively distracted. There's so many people out there that might be doing things that you're doing, and it's easy to get caught up in oh, look at them, or they're better than me. And it's so easy to get distracted and looking at other people. And the other thing is this concept of the imposter syndrome, right? It's when you're not super clear on your zone of genius and what your gift is. So you're trying to be all things to all people. And then you end up feeling like an imposter because you're like, well, who the hell am I? So that's something that I struggled with probably in the very beginning, not at all anymore, because I'm very clear about what I'm good at, and who I'm meant to target. And also really just like finding your own voice. Like when you're writing an email to your list or when you're writing a blog post, don't look at what other people have written. Don't do that at all, because that's going to manipulate how you show up on screen, you know? So I'm just very, very clear. I do not look at other people's stuff at all. And that was a huge hurdle for me in the beginning. And now, you know, I don't have it anymore. So it's great.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think that's a lot of time people comparison or kind of checking out what their competition is doing makes people nervous sometimes. So that's good advice. Do you find with your clients that there's a common hurdle that they all have to overcome, or is there a common pain point, or is it always different?
I mean, obviously everyone varies, but I think the biggest common theme is to have those sales conversations, asking for the sale, or letting people know about their services and what's the price tag. Like, it doesn't have to be this manipulative, sleazy, slimy conversation where you're like, hey, do you want to buy from me? Or just like using these like tactics to get people to buy from you. So I work with my clients on that. We do a lot of role playing. And the other thing that they really struggle with is this notion of being seen and being heard. It's scary when you first start your business to put yourself out there, because that thought in their head is like, well, who am I to do that? Well, you know, if you truly believe that you have value to offer and you can help people in their lives and in their business, then you need to get over that, like really quick. So I work with them on that. That's probably the biggest hurdle for them.
That's very cool. I can see how that'd be kind of a common thing people struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
Now, shifting gears a little bit, when it comes to being like your own boss, what's the best part about that? What's your biggest benefit?
The best benefit is saying I want to do something, or saying I want to create a new product, or saying I want to pitch myself here or put myself out there, and then actually doing it. Like, no one is stopping me from having what I want. If I say I'm going to be on the Teachable blog, you better believe I'm going to make that happen. You know what I mean? And so if I'm going to be on this podcast, no one's stopping me from putting myself out there. So there is no barrier at all when you're your own boss, except for what's going on in between your ears. You know what I mean? And so for me, that's the greatest freedom, is to say, I'm going to do this, and then doing it. Have that level of freedom and not be constrained by a 9-to-5, or not be constrained by like, oh my God, what are my employers going to say? Like, just saying I'm going to do this and then doing it is amazing.
That's very cool. And I think it takes a lot of confidence and self-assurance to like be able to go out there and just like get what you want. I love that so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So do you have any big projects you're working on, plans for the future that you want to share?
Yes. So I actually just moved into my new apartment. You can't really see it, but you know, here we are. It's beautiful. So I love it. It's definitely an upgrade from where I used to live. I just moved here about a month ago, and I've been hosting VIP days in the apartment. So it's great. So I've been doing some live speaking. Like, I just spoke at WeWork, which is a co-working space, and now I'm speaking at Tech Ranch, which is another space for entrepreneurs to hang out. And so I've been doing a lot of live speaking workshops, and then the people that I meet there, funnel them into doing VIP days. So that's kind of my bigger project. VIP days are a very lucrative way to make money quick, and you get to boil down to a core problem that your client is having, and you get to work with them very intimately and intensely, and then have them continue working with you. So, you know, my goal right now is doing 4 live VIP days here in Austin, and then doing virtual ones as well. And I love it because, you know, I'm so used to working with people like 6 months or 90 days or stuff like that. So this is a very new way for me to work, which is like boil down to what's the problem, what's the solution, let's bust it out. Just that total immersion concept. I love, like, I work really well doing that. And the people that have been coming to me for VIP days are all requesting that as well.
Those sound so cool. That's a very unique model I haven't really heard of before. That's incredible.
Yeah. It's actually very common. It's you know, if it's basically like you get to, you know, pick my brain for a whole day or half a day, you know, and we get to work on whatever it is that we need to work on, whether it's your free offer, your nurture sequence emails on the back end, your landing page copy. Like, I'm not a copywriter at all, but I have a very good eye for words. And so just obviously my years of experience just working in my own business and working with clients, it's just a very fun way to work with people who have specific problems. And then I can use my expertise to help them.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned you have been like speaking at WeWork and things like that. Have you gotten, or what's kind of cool opportunities you've gotten from your business?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of TV work. I do a lot of TV stuff. Like I'm going to be on Good Day Austin the second week of December. Just really building my brand and putting myself out there and being shameless when it comes to pitching myself. You know, I get to do a lot of cool TV work. I was on Kansas City Live, you know, back in the day. I'm actually from New York. I used to live in Kansas, and I was on their morning show for about a year and a half, and that just came about as me pitching myself to the producer. So you can really do anything that you want. You just have to figure out, you know, what the hell that is. So through my business, I've been able to participate at different conferences, speaking there, doing live workshops, and then really just working with people one-on-one. I mean, I understand that one-on-one, you know, is not scalable, right? Like that's the thing people say. But if you enjoy working one-on-one with people and you're getting paid well for that and it brings you fulfillment, then why not? You know? And at the end of the day, you do get to create your own schedule, right? I typically do not work with clients on Mondays or the weekends. So, you know, it's really about prioritizing your calendars so that you can make room for all the things that matter to you.
Yeah, that's so true. I hear a lot of people kind of talk against coaching. They say they don't want to do that anymore because there's not freedom. But for me, that's like one of the ultimate freedom models because you get to choose who you're working with. You're choosing your hours, you know, everything. So that's very cool. Do you have tools you use to kind of help organize your schedules, your days?
Yes. Yeah. So first, I mean, honestly, I'm pretty simple. I mean, every single thing that I do is on my iPhone. It's on my calendar. I use Google Calendar, and I use ActiveCampaign for my backend software, for my email management, and all my subscribers. And I use WordPress. I mean, like I know that that's not like a scheduling system, but I mean, you can schedule on there. But honestly, for me, it's because I'm working one-on-one, I can literally say, okay, cool, next week, when are we talking? And I can put it right in my calendar. What I have done in my calendar is that I color code everything and I have labels for everything. So I actually have blocked off all 7 days a week. 7 through 11 a.m. is Vasavi time. So I don't talk to anybody unless it's like my mom or my sister or like someone I actually want to talk to outside of a client. I don't talk or do anything that doesn't fulfill me outside of my business. You get what I'm saying? So during that time, I'll always take my dog for a walk. I'll always make my coffee. I'll sit outside of my patio. I actually just saw a longhorn today, which is a male bull. Or a male and bull is kind of the same thing. I don't know. But anyway, I'm not from Texas, but I live here. So anyway, I mean, like, it's just really beautiful when you are in control of your schedule, the kind of things that you get to experience, you know? So for me, I mean, just to answer that question in short, I use the iPhone calendar and I schedule everything in my calendar and I make enough time for everything that I want to do.
That simplicity is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah. Very cool. And so I don't take up too much of your time. I guess I'll close off and ask what advice you'd have for people who are getting started, people who want to be where you are, maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year.
Yeah, I'm going to say that the fastest way to really start to see momentum and start to see results is to work with a coach or a mentor and work with someone who you jive with. Like, don't just work with someone because they look glitzy and glamorous on the outside. Work with someone that you can actually connect with. You feel like, okay, this person gets me. Work with someone who's not just trying to use a blueprint to solve your problem, but someone who really hears you and gets you. And it's like, okay, I'm totally understanding what it is that you're trying to do here. Like someone who's not going to use a formulaic approach. I can't emphasize enough, like you don't have to do it alone. You really don't. And, while I'm a huge fan of online courses, I do think there is benefit in working with somebody one-on-one and having that intimate relationship, someone that's going to be there with you throughout the process. So that, I mean, I obviously have tons of advice, but that is probably my biggest piece of advice.
No, I love that. I love because you can have your own kind of personal cheerleader that way. That's a great way to close things off. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.